All right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and tonight has become an annual event. This tasting was last night actually was we do it every year because we can't afford, or I can't justify opening up Screaming Eagle on my own at home. The 07 we drank last night was $2,000 a bottle now retail. Well, it did get 100 points, and it was the wine of the night by a lot of people's scorecards, but there was a lot of other great wines on the table. The Araujo is my suggested buy of the week for cult wines. This winery was just purchased by Chateau. The folks at Chateau have risen the price. They've already raised the price up to like $500 for the new release. Crazy. All the older vintages of this wine are going to go up in value shortly. And again, one of the best wines on the table. It got 6 or 7 votes for wine of the night. We started out with one of the greatest Chardonnay producers in California, Marcassin. We had 2 wines. You're getting extra when you come to a wine watch tasting. We had the 2001 Estate Chardonnay, which got the wild boar on it. Right here in the front, and that wine got 100 points from Robert Parker. Not many Chardonnays ever score that high. It was awesome, and I had some Upper Barn here from 99, which these wines are incredible even on the second day. Oh my God, the aromas coming out of the 99 has this toasty marshmallow note, rich tropical fruits, peach, candied pineapple, kind of candy corn, vanilla cream, creme brulee, really rich and complex candied orange, just more and more coming out of this wine as it opens up, maybe showing just a touch of oxidization. Hey, this wine's over 10 years old, 1999 vintage. Who would think a Chardonnay would even last that long from California? But this wine has a wonderful concentration and still nice freshness on the finish. Really nice balance. This is a wine, most excellent juice, and a little cocoa kind of note to it as well. Really exotic. The 2001 for me did best this wine. Just incredible nose, chock full of candied lemon, vanilla custard, kind of white flowers. Really rich and complex. Just an incredible array of delicious fruit, smooth and creamy on the tongue. This wine just so luscious, and just the right touch of toasty oak spice. I mean, quite a bit, but this wine has got a lot of everything. The fruit in it, just lovely, candied, rich, and tongue-tingling minerality and acidity here. This wine just seemed to go on and on the finish. Killer juice. One of the greatest Chardonnays I have ever drank. This 2001 Marcassin Estate from California. Reminiscent of Grand Cru Burgundy, but California style. You're not going to mistake this wine for Burgundy. It is at another level in terms of richness. All right, well, we started out the night with the 92s. We had 3 different vintages on the table. 92, an outstanding vintage in California. Some of these wines didn't score that high. The Abreu got 90 points. The Harlan only got 96 points. The Bryant family got like 91 points. That was their first vintage, 92. And all these wines I thought showed very well. And the Cayman Special Select showing a little bit of evolution on the nose, some cigar box spice, some cherry currant berry fruit there. And still some nice fruit left on the tongue, though. Tobacco and cedar, a little eucalyptus showing on the nose as well. And this wine's got wonderful balance and wonderful freshness still. Like I said, showing a little bit of evolution. This fruit's starting to get into its secondary phase and a lot of earthy components, but still wonderful balance in this wine. Even though it was my least favorite wine on the table, everything was excellent. So you have to pick a loser. Cayman Special Select, I wouldn't call it the loser, but excellent. But my least favorite of all the wines on the table on this evening. But it did get 2 votes for first place. The 92 Abreu, this is a wine that's very hard to get, only a few hundred cases. I should have mentioned that the Cayman Special Select at that time, still just a few hundred cases. Today, 10,000 cases. And Abreu is one of the top viticulturists. If you want to make a cult wine today, what do? You hire David Abreu, you hire Michel Rolland or Marco Bear or one of these other top, consultants, Helen Turley, and boom, you're immediately $300 to $500 a bottle. Well, Brad Grimes is one of the winemaker here now. I don't know if he's been there since the beginning, but he's considered one of the top guys in California today. A blend of 95% Cab, the balanced Cabernet Franc, and this wine had a kind of a minty note to it, black spice, dark earth to the dark cherry and currant berry fruit, really smooth. Still had really nice freshness, though. This wine showing a bit more to it than the Cayman Special Select. Really fine tannins and an excellent bottle of Cabernet 92. I don't think it got any votes for first place, but damn good wine. The 92 Harlan. This is a single vineyard wine. Well, I think they use some of the bond wine now, the vineyards that go into this wine as well, but the main vineyard situated on the western side of Napa Valley, Oakville Appellation, overlooking Heights Martha's Vineyard. 2/3 of this wine is Cabernet Sauvignon, and the remainder Cabernet Franc and Merlot. This is the 3rd vintage, 90 being the first vintage of Harlan Estates, and a really rich and concentrated fruit. This was the biggest of the 92s here. Dark spices, kind of black truffle notes, really well endowed, and on the palates, really rich, even though this wine's smoothing out and starting to drink nicely right now, still it's got many layers to it, fruit and earth, and just really showing nicely. Like I said, just a bit more concentrated and rich than the other 92s. It got 3 votes for wine of the night. Most excellent juice that could last another decade or more in your cellar. The 92 Bryant family, this was the first vintage of this cult wine, and this wine's got a lovely cigar box spice to it, red currant and kind of incense. Also, really smooth and easy drinking, considerably a bit lighter than the other 92s in terms of tannins, really soft. I would say you want to probably drink this one up sooner rather than later, unless you're a real big fan of old wines, but the fruit in this wine still present, and tannins still nice, but nice and soft, and still fresh, still balanced. Really nice little wine, but on the lighter side, excellent juice. Then on to the 2003s. Robert Parker just did a vintage of a review of a lot of wines from this vintage, and he really scored these wines very highly, and I think it's a very good vintage. Well, I wouldn't put it in the top vintage in the last decade, but 2003 Bryant family is a whopping 15.2% alcohol. This was right when Helen Turley left the property. Now you have Mark Aubert there, and this wine's got a lovely sweet dark currant, cassis berry fruit, hints of tobacco spice, and that typical earth you get, that minerality from Pritchard Hill wines. And some really dark, some pepper also showing up here. Smoothing out nicely on the tongue. This wine's got really round and ripe tannins in it. This 2003 was a very hot vintage, and lovely spice, espresso, and dark chocolate notes. And still showing a good bit of earth here as well, and some tannins also. This wine really well built. One of the top wines on the table, even though it was got no votes for first or second place. I think if we had a third place vote, we would have had this 03 Bryant in the mix there. Most excellent juice. The 2003 Araujo, they only make about 1,600 cases from a 40-acre vineyard, so the selection here is very strict. This product, as I mentioned before, this winery was just bought by the folks from Chateau Latour, and you're going to see the prices go up on this. This has always been, to me, one of the best values of all the cult wines. The final blend is 88% Cab, 9% Cab Franc, 3% Petit Verdot. Wonderful bouquet here. Just incredible intensity. Toasty oak, kind of toffee, coffee notes with dark currant, cassis berry fruit. Really well endowed. This wine just continued to get better and better as the night went on. Smooth and velvety texture on the tongue, but lots of fruit, almost liqueur-like in concentration, cassis and currant berry fruit, just layers of dark earth, spice, dark chocolate. Like I said, even richer on the second day. This wine got 6 votes for wine of the night, and most excellent juice, and definitely got one of my votes for wine of the night here. The Bon Melbury, this is a single vineyard wine from the slopes north side of Lake Hennessy, opposite the Rutherford Valley floor. And this vineyard's got sedimentary soil, rock over compacted clay, and this is the work of Bob Levy and Bill Harlan, rather. And this started out with a 1999 vintage. And it's different than Harlan Estate, but I think in terms of quality, it is just as good, and about half the price. And dark berry cassis and kind of currant liqueur-like fruit with intense earthy character here, kind of black olive and black spices, licorice, sweet tobacco, really smooth tannins. This wine always really approachable even when young, and so is Harlan Estate for how big that wine is. Really intense, nicely balanced, a bit of heat at the end, but has a lot of everything else, so really well balanced, long and layered finish. This wine got 1 vote for wine of the night. Most excellent juice. And then the 07 flight. 07, one of my favorite vintages from the last decade. And this was the Money Flight, the Screaming Eagle, the second flight in the Bryant family. All 3 of these wines outstanding. The Screaming Eagle, owner Stan Kroenig is really turned things up a notch here, it seems, with winemaker Nick Gislin's son. And I don't know how you pronounce that. Sorry, Nick. But anyways, 2007, just really deep and dark, black currants, cassis-like fruit, really opulent and rich with sweet, dark tobacco spice, almost like a balsamic note to this wine, too, really rich. And what a blockbuster on the palate, just incredibly intense fruit and a smooth and creamy texture, just layers of dark spice, toasty oak, and wow, this wine's even bigger on the second day, 15+% alcohol, but has everything in balance. And it's amazing how long this wine lingers on your tongue. Very fine sediment in the glass on the second day, kind of interesting note. This wine really well built, and 10 votes for first place, by far the wine of the night. Killer juice. The second flight, a very different wine. The 2006 vintage was the first release of this. They'd been working on it for some time, and This blend is 59% Cab on the 2007 and 41% Merlot, so a very different blend, and a more red fruit than black fruit in this wine. Currant and toasty oak spice, some herbal notes, really thick and but more elegant in style than the Eagle. Not as heavy, with notes of toffee, coffee, kind of sweet plummy fruit, really silky tannins. A lovely long finish on that wine. A little bit hot, but had a lot of everything. Really well balanced, smooth and polished wine. Excellent juice. And is it worth the price tag? It's $300 to $500. I mean, is Screaming Eagle worth $1,000 to $2,000? Hey, if you've got the money, you should not leave this earth without trying Screaming Eagle. All right, the Bryant family. This wine also outstanding. Comes in second with 7 votes for first place. This is 100% Cabernet Sauvignon. The production rarely tops over 1,000 cases, even in the most abundant vintages. It's only 13 acres, high up on Pritchard Hill, just below Colgan and Tim Mondavi's Continuum, not far from the other benchmark properties like Chapelet, Del Dado, and David Arthur. This wine is made by Marc Aubert, and good amount of that distinct minerality that you get from Pritchard Hill here showing on the nose. That mountain fruit, really deep and intense, dark spices, kind of bitter cocoa, espresso, really complex and layered. This wine was a blockbuster. Dark currant, cassis-berry fruit, has wonderful structure and depth of fruit, and this wine just layers and layers, and even bigger on the second day, even better on the second day. This was one of my picks for wines of the night. Also, 1, 2, 3. I don't know. If I had 3, I would have picked this one. I picked Araujo and Screaming Eagle for my 2 top ones, but this one really close for second place in my book, and like I said, even better on the second day. Well, hey, you're going to get extra to Wine Watch tasting. They don't make any great dessert wine in Napa Valley, do they? Well, Dolce's not bad, but hey, my money is on Sauternes. I mean, every day of the week for less money. This 1989 Chateau Climens was just incredible. How do you end a once-in-a-lifetime tasting? You have to have a great wine, and this was a great vintage, 89. Climens, second only to the great Chateau Yquem. This is a Barsac. This wine showing that lovely honeyed character you get from older Sauternes, and this lovely creme custard caramel and peaches, cream, and just incredible richness, pineapple candy, and still very fresh on the finish, even though this wine has got a lot of residual sugar, and that's a great thing about Sauternes. One of the reasons why they age so incredibly long, and like I said, you could keep this wine another 20, 30 years or more. 89, an incredible vintage, and what a night. Thank you very much for those of you that made it another once-in-a-lifetime tasting. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.